It's scarcely a day your thoughts turn instantly to tourism in the Isle of Man, but that is where we've been for the last week, and it's all over some figures that came out that said that tourist figures for last year had dropped by 25,000. Then there was a whole line of people said, no, they haven't. Look, figures here have gone up, figures there have gone up. Sitting in front of me is a man who hopefully can answer these questions, Chris Thomas, the Policy and Reform Minister. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Other figures, right or wrong?
The passenger survey is robust. The method
Well, does that mean it's right?
It should be seen in its context. It should be understood more. The first page of the passenger survey explains how it's calculated. Between 10,000 and 11,000 people are surveyed. The survey has been roughly the same since the 1980s. It's changed this year. We've asked slightly more questions. Got some new information for the first time on Friday from the Steam Packet. Thank you very much for that.
Which was 3% up, wasn't it?
We knew we'd already published that the total number of passengers travelling by the Steam Packet was up by around 3%. But what matters is the breakdown between tourists,
But can you answer me? Were 25,000 less people coming to the island last year?
That's what this passenger survey showed, and we'll now look at more at the Steam Packet information.
Is that right? Do we agree with that?
I think what really matters is the long-term trend, even the medium-term trend. So 20 years ago, there were an awful lot more visitors in the Isle of Man than there are now.
But it is worrying, 25,000 down, isn't it?
Of course it is. And I'll tell you particularly why it's worrying. It's a good point you made earlier on on the radio this morning, John. If it's a good place to visit the Isle of Man, it's a good place to live. And if you like living here, it's a good place to work. And if you like working here, you're likely to bring your business here. And that will mean that it's flourishing, and therefore people will be coming here. So what really matters is the excellent destination management plan that the Department for Enterprise has put together. The politicians, I think, now understand more about the survey figures. We'll work to get even more information out to help research intelligence so that new products can be developed, so that the state of our island's facilities can be improved, so that the quality of our town, the quality of our life can be enhanced. And that's what really matters. So there's a buzz about the Isle of Man in the past.
You have said that statistics matter. In the past, we haven't had enough statistics, accurate statistics to work on. And now it seems we have a statistic that everyone says, well, is it right or is it wrong?
Well, let's take it as to be right. If you cast doubt on the validity of the overall statistics, that puts into question last year's statistics, and that puts into question the figures that the Department for Enterprise and others have previously celebrated about the TT and motorsports.
So down 25,000, is that a resignation issue?
I see. Well, that's not the most important point in this, and I don't think Minister Skelly would say that's the most important.
But someone's doing something wrong, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think we've got a very good destination management plan in place. For a couple of years, we've been focused a bit too much, perhaps, on other issues around that destination plan. We've got 3 or 4 more years of that plan. Let's really focus on making our capital and our island
That's the point, isn't it? We just have to look out the window at the centre of Douglas. We know things are bad down there. The square down there looks a complete mess. Exactly. There are other places. Do we need these figures to actually say to ourselves, our tourism effort needs a holistic look. The whole thing needs to be made better. If we build it, they will come, but we need to build it.
You've made the point wonderfully, John. There's 2 points inside that. The first one is that's what year of our island, and this focus on government on making sure that we've got the quality of life in our island where it needs to be, so that it's a good place to visit but also to live in and work in. And the second point is that government's got to make sure everything it does is joined up around the right plan. We've got new statistics from the Steam Packet. We'll interrogate them now to see whether they can help us improve the way we do surveys. The whole of the small department I have, a couple of people, are focusing on all of the official statistics at the minute. There is a survey fatigue out there. There's always new ways that we can innovate in the way that we get information to help us understand how much people have in their houses, how many people are visiting us, what the inflation is.
So we need to improve. We'll have to close it there because we've only got half an hour
programme. We'll improve statistics, and the Department for Enterprise needs to work with everybody else in government, especially the transport operators, to make sure that our island is a good place to visit as well as to live and work.
Minister, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Chris Thomas, the Policy and Reform Minister.